Tuning into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers, and welcome back to another Parks and Rec After Show. It is the final After Show because it was the series finale tonight. We have episodes 12 and 13 of Season 7 that we're talking about. I can't believe it's over. It had us in tears a little bit of teary-eyedness going on. If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, please do so. It is youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV. You can also find us on iTunes and SoundCloud. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. And you can also talk to us on Twitter using the hashtag #ABTVParksandRec. So tweet to us, what'd you think about this episode? What'd you think about the series, the whole series, because it's over? And quite frankly, you should tweet us because we want to keep this Parks and Rec going, talking about our favorite memories. I'm your host, Katie Campbell, and you can find me on Twitter at Katie Campbell. That's Katie with 3 E's. I'm joined in studio tonight by Lauren Salaun and Quinn Scillian.
Hey guys, Lauren Salaun here. You can find me on Twitter at Lauren Salaun. That's Salaun.
Hi guys, my name is Quinn Scillian. You can find me on Twitter at Quinn Scillian. That's Scillian.
So what did you guys think about tonight's episode, the final episode of Parks and Recreation?
Yeah, I thought they did a very good job of concluding the whole series. I think we had all talked a little bit about how we kind of wanted a little bit more from it, and there were some parts that I think were a little cheesy with tonight's episode, but all in all, I think they ended the entire show well.
Yes.
I don't know, guys. I don't want to be the dark cloud, but I wasn't crazy. I mean, I did love it. I love that I got to know what everybody was up to, but I wanted an episode of Parks and Rec, and we kind of, with all these, it jumped around, all these flash forwards and these flash backwards, and, didn't really know where we were and having to keep track of, whose story we were in and stuff like that. I thought it was just a little too jumbled for me to really get to appreciate the farewell.
Well, we did kind of get a Parks and Rec moment because their last mission was to do something as a Parks department, to fix the swing at a park called One Last Ride for the Parks and Rec. I thought that was the good Parks and Rec about it, but I really enjoyed these characters and seeing where they were going to be in the future, because I would have always wondered, what's Donna going to be doing 30 years from now? And what are Leslie and Ben going to do? Is somebody going to be president one day? I want to know that.
I don't know. I think I would have been okay with a little bit of ambiguity. I didn't think I needed it spelled out. I'm happy to know because it's wonderful closure and because we know we've grown to love these characters so much. But I just don't think I needed it, kind of a step-by-step kind of play-by-play
for everybody.
Yeah, I would have been okay. I would have been okay with a little bit of who knows. You know what I mean? If we didn't know that Andy and April had end up, getting pregnant and stuff, I would have been okay with that.
See, I want to know everything.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many assumptions you can make. You would just assume that, of course, they're going to have kids down the road. Of course, Leslie's going to go on to bigger and better, and Ben as well. But I think that, in part, doing that sort of flash forward thing is kind of an easy way out for writers to conclude a series that way. But it did, all along the way, we have been talking about how we want to see what they're doing in the future. And we don't want them to all be splitting up and going different places. We want them to all be back in Pawnee. So it did give us that everyone's back together thing that we really
closure
wanted.
Thing.
Yeah, I was definitely happy to see them back all at the Parks Department there at the end. That was really nice.
Yes. The episode started out with Leslie talking to everybody, going down memory lane, very detailed, back to before they were even hired. And we learn that this guy comes in saying there's a swing broken for the last 3 months by his house and he wants somebody to fix it. And she's like, let's do this. Let's all do this together. And I didn't expect that this was going to happen, but she got together with Donna, started telling her that she was proud of her, and touched Donna's arm. And then we just go all the way to 2023. So a little bit of what Donna's doing is she is still in the real estate business, and she's living in Seattle. And she is with Joe at dinner, and they're talking about what their plans are, what they're doing, and he's running a school. So how do you guys feel about where Donna is in life?
I think it's great. And again, we get some, you know, the wonderful political commentary that we've come to know and love from Parks and Rec, you know, talking about, you know, budget cuts at schools and how big of a problem that is. And so it was kind of nice to see
eliminated
the math
after school program and math.
Just
in
math.
general.
Yeah, we don't teach math. So it was nice that she kind of was like, you know, Donna's never been one to be super philanthropic. So it was nice to see her kind of like throw the school a bone there. It was cool.
Yeah, I did really like seeing not only Donna having her kind of glory of being this mogul essentially of real estate, but then also deciding to now use all this money that she's made to support schools and make the foundation for education for Joe and all that. And you know, later in the episode, Tom kind of hassles her for going into the nonprofit world, but it's a nice, it rounds out her character well from just being, you know, someone who loves to shop and treat herself to doing that, you know, and caring about education.
She still loves to treat herself.
Oh yeah, totally. She showed the watch off with all the bling.
And I think that something that's great about her character is that she's kind of been this silent backbone for people, and we've seen it a lot in this season, but she, you know, she does things selflessly for other people, and she even called that foundation for her husband, Teach Yourself, which I thought was absolutely adorable.
Nice little tip of the hat.
And it's good seeing that she is still in contact with April. She, you know, flew all the way out there because April is working with that foundation that helps put that whole thing together. I love that they're still in contact at that time.
Right, still working together even though they're not literally working together at the same company or in the same city even.
Right.
Bonds couldn't be broken.
The next thing we see is Craig's story, which was a little weird.
I agree. I thought the
Super
whole thing
random.
was weird. I thought it was weird, one, that they did a flash forward for Craig because he's been in the series just this season.
Yeah.
And so I loved his character. I thought he was so funny, but didn't think he was important enough to have a flash forward.
I think instead of Craig, we should have seen Anne and Chris. I mean, we
Yeah,
did see
exactly.
that flash forward moment, but we should have seen, like, where they're going after that.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were just part of April's flash forward. They didn't get their own. And
Yeah.
then we got Craig marrying Typhoon. It was so weird.
Yeah, it kind of felt like a forced moment, just so Billy Eichner could show off that he could sing. Kind of. I was just like, all right.
But I love, though, that Ron was Typhoon's best man.
Yeah.
It was so good.
They really hit it off when he got that haircut.
Yeah, they did.
And then the next one we see is April and Andy, which was really cute. I loved their flash forward. What did you guys think about it?
Like I said, it's one of the ones where I kind of assumed that they'd probably have kids down the line, and I thought it was a little weird because for April having so many reservations about having kids, it was kind of like, well, where does that stem from? You know, does she really want to, have a family with him? And all of a sudden it was like, okay, well, I guess she's just going to have kids, and that's just what she wants to do. But it was like, is that what she wants to do? I couldn't really tell. It was kind of jumbled and weird, maybe a little uncomfortable, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was too weird. I mean, I've always seen them being, when April does have those softer moments, she's really caring and loving. And so I feel like she was destined to become a mother at some point, and I like that we got to see that. And I love that they did it on Halloweens. We got to see 2 Halloweens with them dressed up, first as Janet Snakehole and Burt Macklin, and then when she's in labor, dressed as a zombie or something, and they're playing Monster Mash music. Hilarious. It fits so well with April's character and even Andy, being his goofy alter ego.
And she put that makeup on after the fact that she was in labor already. She's like, I did this after.
Exactly. Yeah, Dr. Sauerstein's like, do you want to wash your face or something? She was like, no,
I did this on purpose.
Intentionally. This is the first thing they're going to see.
Do you guys think that the son's name is actually Jack-o'-lantern or just Jack?
I think it's Jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's got to be
Something
that long,
crazy.
crazy
Jack's
name.
too normal.
Yeah.
Jack's the nickname.
They'd have to tell Leslie it's just Jack.
Yeah.
Because she would freak out. We saw she was nervous when she's like, what's his name?
That's good. Jack's good.
And I thought it was funny that we got to see Dr. Saperstein. What do you guys think about the baby actually being born in Pawnee? Why were they there?
Good question.
I thought it was odd.
Were they there?
I thought it was odd, but it was cute, though. I mean, I like Pawnee. I want them all to be there anyway, but I just thought it was
maybe
very interesting.
Saperstein got promotion too.
Maybe he was in
Well, they
DC.
said it's great that the baby's born in Pawnee.
Maybe on purpose then,
Just to keep it all in Pawnee and keep everybody there. The next one we see is John Ralphio, who dies in 2022, and I really thought that he did die.
I thought so too, and it was going to be some ridiculous story about how he died.
Like, trying to get money for getting hit by a car again, and it didn't work out this time. He actually did die.
Failed insurance attempt.
Yeah, but this was kind of a money deal.
Yeah, it was
with
an
Yeah,
insurance
trying to collect life
scheme
insurance.
with Mona Lisa trying to scam.
I also like that none of us we're like, yeah, we thought he died. Like we weren't even gonna be that bummed about it.
Like it's
like whatever.
Oh, but it makes sense.
It's the end of the season. He can die.
And he died like 2 years later, or 4 years later or whatever.
Yeah,
5. I don't math.
Math died anyway.
It's because there's no math. There's no math. We don't have to worry about math anymore.
Math died in the future. But next person we see is Tom, who is at Tom's Bistro, and he's deciding that he's going to open like 20 of these across America in the next 5 years. Did you guys think this was going to take off and actually maybe he'd even have more than 20?
I wasn't sure. Tom's had pretty good luck these past season, ever since his Rent-A-Swag kind of went under. Everything after that has been kind of like, he's kind of grown up, he's making all the right decisions, the right business moves. So I was thinking maybe something good was going to come of that. He's kind of been on top of the game with business-wise.
I agree. I didn't see the failure coming because he has been making smarter decisions and his character has matured a lot, but I think it fits, he's got such a big head that he needs to kind of get knocked down a peg a little from time to time.
I think it's definitely in Tom's character to kind of have to figure it out. He kind of just he has an idea, it doesn't work out, he comes up with something new. That's kind of always going to be his trajectory, I think. So actually, I think it's rather fitting. Yeah,
and that's the thing with even being a real entrepreneur. You're going to have so many ideas and so many things that work, but then also so many that don't work. And he showed, he had that failure with the restaurants and kind of went bankrupt not because of his own doing, because the market crashed, but then he was able to turn that into a book and career and have best-selling books come out of it.
Who knew Tom could write?
When I first
saw a tweet.
Yeah, when I first saw that documentary, though, I thought it was him talking about how he had all these failures, but then he made it big. That's what I thought it was going to turn into.
It was going to be a trick documentary or something.
I love that Lucy is standing by his side still. I'm very happy for the two of them to be together.
She's Tom's #1 fan.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Very cute.
The book that he did write, though, is called Failure, an American Success Story. I thought, okay, he's a motivational speaker. I guess that makes sense. But these books, and then we learn in the episode later on that he has a second book.
Yeah.
Failure 2.0.
Failing to
fail,
Yeah.
And then the next person we see in the future is Mayor Gergich. And I absolutely love this.
I did too. It was one of my favorites.
Talk about coming out on top. Gary Gergich.
I love Gary and his family. He's just so sweet. And, he's been the mayor for 4th, 10th, 20th or whatever for tons of years.
So everyone loves him.
Yeah. Everyone loves him.
Which is funny because in previous seasons he was, he had this list of things that he wanted to do and Leslie was trying to help him with that. Let's, get him to meet the mayor, and then the mayor was dead at that time and all of these things, and Gary finally has this big, huge thing, and he comes out on top, like you said, and I absolutely loved it. And he lived till he was 100 years old.
I know. And Gail didn't age a day.
I know.
Not one bit.
And he was just surrounded by Gergiches in their family picture. There's just tons of them.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the Romney family, how they, their family photos, they have 1,000 little Romneys around them. But yeah, I thought that flash forward was just so sweet. And, he dies on his 100th birthday in his sleep peacefully. It was lovely. And he, at his funeral, gets a 21 stamp salute from the notary organization, which is so cheesy. But, he was probably smiling huge from the grave.
Well-deserved ending for Gary Gergich.
At his funeral, too, we see Leslie and Ben super old.
I know.
And Ben, of course, makes that same line that he always does about how does Gail look this good? How did they end up together? And he's like, how does Gail look that good? And then we see a Secret Service guy say, okay, it's time to go.
Yeah, there are about 3 guys, bodyguards, dressed in, suits, black sunglasses, like Secret Service with Leslie and Ben.
I want to know more about. That's the thing that we didn't get to know more about.
Yeah,
who's president there?
Because that's one of the furthest flash forwards that we had in the show, where we saw other people, and
it was 2048.
So we don't know if maybe one of them was president.
Oh, so you don't think it was just the governor thing? Because I guess they wouldn't be governor anymore.
Yeah, probably
being
not.
that old. Yeah,
2048.
So who knows? Maybe he was one of them's a retired president. Both of them.
Gotta be Leslie. Come on.
That's something
both.
I want to know. Tweet us at home and let us know what you guys think.
Yes, please.
Who was the president? Why were the Secret Service there?
Yes. Now the next person we get to see is Ron, which this whole thing about flash forwards was Leslie basically touching an arm or touching her hand, and it kind of just goes, or a hug or something. But
zoom us over to wherever they were going.
Right, and we see Ron fixing the swing back in 2017, and then they sit on the swings, and Leslie grabs his hand in the most awkward way.
So weird.
Yeah.
We all were like, what?
Well,
oh,
that,
okay.
That mechanism for doing a flash forward is super cheesy anyway. They touch and then it's like a premonition, and they zoom into the future. But then like the really exaggerated, cheesy handhold.
She had to like reach pretty far.
Yeah. It just made it even more obvious.
And I feel like he should have been saying, "Good God, woman," at that point.
Yeah.
Right. But he just took it. He just held her hand. Ron's future was, I loved his future. This is actually the first time I teared up in this episode. Because he ends in such a good way. He resigned from his company, and he missed the government, okay? He'll never admit that. What did you guys think about him ending up?
He needed some sense of purpose and goes to Leslie and says, last time I was at a crossroads, I didn't ask you for advice, and that's how the whole beef between him and Leslie happened. And so he goes and meets with Leslie and Ben and kind of gives them an update on his life, and Leslie's like, I'm going to figure this out for you, and I'm going to find your next purpose, essentially. And she ends up getting him a job as the director of the national park in Pawnee. She's like, you get to just roam the land, look at bears and stuff, go out in the canoe in the water, and that's your job.
I love their friendship because he goes all the way to Washington just to ask her this advice in the first place.
Yeah, and it was really, really sweet. And also, I couldn't see Ron being behind the desk for the rest of his life. It's not very un-Ron-like, you know? He's a man, he wants to work with his hands, get him outside.
Yeah, he likes building stuff, but I don't think he was really getting into the actual act of building with that company. He was running it.
Yeah, and it sounds like he built it into a very successful company. It looks like his whole family is still working in it, and he was the chairman and decides it's kind of time to move on. And they were in that meeting, having a meeting about how great that year had been. So, he was ready for his next
We're doing all right. I can leave now.
And then
he also, I love that he bought 51% of Lagavulin.
A distillery.
Scotch. Why not?
That's with his gold.
Diversified his portfolio. He's like, I got rid of some gold, put it into scotch.
Brown gold.
The last one we get to see is Leslie and Ben. We were waiting for this. They're in Washington in 2005, and we see Joe Biden. And I just thought her face was so adorable when she looks at him, because that was her celebrity crush. And the last time she saw him, she was
dumbstruck.
Yeah, it was the greatest scene ever a couple seasons ago. And she's there. They're playing Pictionary? Charades at his house. And Jen Barkley shows up and asks Ben if he wants to be the governor of Indiana, because the person who's the governor isn't going to run again. Yeah. And then another woman, Janet from DNC, asks Leslie simultaneously on the other side of the room if she wants to run for the governor of Indiana. What did you guys think about that whole debacle?
Well, with Leslie getting asked first, I'm like, oh my gosh, here they go. And, with Ben's job as a congressman being based in Pawnee, or, in the flash forwards, we don't really know where they're based exactly. But, it seems like the perfect opportunity for them to then again be in Pawnee. But then when Ben gets approached by Jen, you're like, family drama. But
I know, I was like, oh, that means neither of them is going to run, I was like, oh, they could do that to each other.
Or they're going to run against each other, but obviously there's 10 minutes left in this season or series that, nothing dramatic's going to happen.
That would be an interesting campaign, though, the two of them running against each other. They make a pros and cons list, and it's the exact same.
Identical for both of them.
Identical list, and we finally get to see these triplets again, grown up. I wanted more. Of course, we only just get a little flash.
Yeah, and a flash indeed.
I thought there was going to be some, big, joke about why we never really saw the kids at all. I was like, oh, I don't know. But it was just like, oh, we got to see them. We did. We got to see them for 30 seconds, and then boom, they were gone.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned this earlier in one of the podcasts, but that one of the reasons, I guess, was that Amy Poehler didn't want to work with kids, with babies, and then, toddlers probably, and then at that point they're like, we don't really need to show them anymore. Right. They've been out of the show the whole time. Why introduce them now?
But I've been wondering.
I know, because they feel like they've been noticeably missing, so I thought maybe that's why they were going to make something of it, but they didn't.
But I think that every time we've seen them, they've been such a whirlwind of chaos that it makes sense that they kind of keep them out, because anytime they come in, even in this episode, they're like, oh gosh, it's going to happen, brace yourselves. And the kids like swarm in, grab their breakfast or dinner, whatever meal it was, and then swarm out in the span of like 6 seconds.
Right.
All they left was the broccoli.
Yeah, I know.
Leslie didn't even want that.
No, I don't think Leslie Knope is one for broccoli.
So they decided that they're going to decide after their trip to Pawnee about who's going to run and who's going to step aside. So in Pawnee, Ben says, you know what, let's go look at the office one last time. Let's go make a visit to the Parks and Rec department. And everybody was there. And this made me tear up harder than the last time.
Because we finally got to see Anne and Chris and all the babies that we've been missing this whole season.
Everybody was in the same room.
Yeah, surprise Pawnee Parks Department reunion.
Wonderfully symmetrical.
Yes, and I that's cute that Anne had 2 kids, Oliver and Leslie. She named one after Leslie.
I know. I also thought it was funny that both Anne and Donna had, like, colored hair. Because, like, that's, like, so, you know, like, chic. Right now it's like, oh, everybody in the future is just going to have, like, streaks of stuff going on.
Anne has colored her hair in the past, though, too.
Oh, yeah, that's why she had, like, red, yeah.
She did that when Chris Traeger broke up with her the first time. But they're together, and they love each other. I think that's so sweet and special. And then Ben and Leslie are talking together about, okay, like, who's going to, you know, take this governor job? Who's going to run? And Leslie says, let's flip a coin. What did you guys think about that coming from Leslie's mouth?
Yeah, that was a really big moment for her. She's not one to leave anything up to chance.
Yeah, it seemed very out of character, but at the same time, her reasoning for it is like, whichever one of us wins the coin toss, essentially, it's going to be great. You know?
Because the pros and cons were the same, so it's like the outcome, you know, doesn't really matter. It can just be either of us or whatever. And, you know, Ben just couldn't let that happen, I don't think.
Yeah.
So she had it in her dream journal that she wanted to be governor when she was in kindergarten. Come on.
I think it should have been Leslie, and I'm glad it was her because of that fact. She's been dreaming about this. She had this all planned out when she was 5 years old, apparently. And I saw it on Ben's face. I knew he was going to do that when she walked out and said, you know, let's tell everybody, let's flip the coin in front of everyone. And then...
Oh, you called it? That was
did.
Gonna happen?
I thought that was going to happen.
Wouldn't it be weird if it was? Everyone would have been
you would have been like,
all right.
Aw.
Yeah. It was satisfying that it was
either Leslie or no one.
Yeah. And then we flash forward to 2035 at Indiana University, and she's giving a speech, and she says the exact same line that she did to her friends back in the Parks and Rec office, that work hard and work worth doing alongside a team of people we love. And I thought that was a beautiful line, and that made me tear up.
Yeah, it was very, very sweet, very good way to kind of conclude things. And we know, obviously, is watching it and where we're at with the whole series, that she's really speaking to the bigger picture and the whole experience of the Parks crew in Pawnee.
And then she got dedicated a library. She was like, a library?
Dang it.
Yeah, she doesn't like libraries or librarians.
Tammy, because of that whole situation. They all hate the library. And then the last final scene that we get is a group picture, and we see them bickering. April's talking about how she's a vampire. Andy's trying to, you know, who should I be in this photo? Burt Macklin. I just love that we saw all of their personalities. We had like a line from each one of them that just completely was them. Tom with Photoshop me in, and Gary, I thought he was going to mess up the camera, quite frankly.
Yeah, I know.
But it was so beautiful.
It was really sweet. I also like that they fixed the swing, and it went totally unappreciated, and Leslie was just like, well, that's normal. That's pretty much how it goes here at the Parks Department.
That's how it went all these seasons. Nothing really was appreciated, but at the end of the day, you got that work done.
Brought them together.
Yes.
That's all that mattered.
It was such a good... I liked the episode. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I want to know everything, so I really liked seeing this future stuff, except for the one missing fact that I want to know who became president.
Yeah. That's our ambiguity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what the heck Chris and Anne are doing with their lives. Come on.
They're moving back to Pawnee.
So everybody's going to end up in Pawnee, essentially.
Yeah. Right back where they started.
Which makes us happy.
That's what I wanted.
We wanted them to be together.
I wasn't happy about the whole Seattle, Washington, and the split up. So I'm glad that they're coming back together, except Donna's still in Seattle.
Yeah.
Right.
She'll come back.
And maybe even Andy and April still in Washington? Did they move back to Pawnee?
But they were in Pawnee with the baby.
Everybody's going to move back.
There are things that have been left unexplained.
True.
And something we see after the episode ends is the little message to Harris Whittles, who we learned last Thursday died. He's an executive producer for Parks and Rec, and he's also a writer. He wrote a lot of episodes. He actually wrote one of the episodes this season, the Ron and Jamie episode.
Oh, okay.
And that was a really sad thing to learn. He was only 30 years old.
What horrible timing.
Yeah.
Right before the finale, and the police suspect that it's a drug overdose. Of course, they're running toxicology reports and stuff, but I really like how a lot of people on the show, like Amy Poehler, had words about it. Everybody was very devastated, and Tom wrote something on his Tumblr that was 3,000 words long.
Oh, Aziz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom. I called him Tom.
Yeah.
Aziz Ansari.
I was like, who's Tom?
Because they're close friends.
Yeah, I know. I saw Aziz's little tribute to him, and it was very sweet and also really funny, you know, just to kind of remind us that obviously he's an insanely genius comedic writer.
I know. He had such a bright future ahead of him in this industry, I feel. Yeah. And I did like, though, that we got to see him in Primary episode where he had that thing on his head and he was living downstairs with Brett in the basement. It's just a really sad loss, and it was a sweet little comment, though, at the very end that they said in tribute to him. But we are really sad over here because this series has ended. So please tweet us, ABTV Parks and Rec, and you can find Quinn on...
Me on Twitter at Quinn Scillian. That's Scillian. You can also find me on Instagram at Quinstagram, QU_Instagram. And you can find me on Vine if you want, at the Quinn B, if you want some giggles now that Parks and Rec is over.
You can find me on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, you name it, at Lauren Salaun. That's LaurenSalaun.
You can find me on Twitter at Katie E.E. Campbell. That's Katie with 3 E's, Campbell, on Instagram at Katie Campbell 13. You can also find me on Katie Campbell online. And tweet us. Please tweet us your favorite memories of this whole series. We love Parks and Rec. We want to keep talking about it. And thank you so much for tuning in. And the Parks crew is signing out.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.